Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Junie. I'm coming back because I wanted to talk about oil painting and being new and to art and basically a beginner to oil painting. I want to share some of my experiences with you. So just in case you're a beginner artist like me, you don't make any mistakes and you can kind of like ease into it and enjoy the process. Because there's a lot of stuff that you could do in oil painting. So let's get started. There's canvases that you can buy. There's canvas panels you can buy. There's acrylic oil paper and that you can get through Canson. And what I recommend is this paper. And the reason is when you're a beginner, most likely you don't have an art studio. You are living either in an apartment, maybe you have a house and you have a spare room or whatever, but you don't have a lot of room and you just really don't want to, or maybe you just don't want to make the investment into everything that you need to do to become an oil painter, which I can understand because you don't even know if you're going to like it yet. So the reason that I recommend this paper is this paper, I believe, is you can get it anywhere from $12 to $15 and you get 24 sheets, which is a really good deal. And what the paper looks like, it's just like a thicker like cardstock paper, but it's got a texture to it, so it's kind of like almost like a cloth in a way, but it's not. Let's see if we can get like up close. I don't know if that helps, or I can turn on a light. Maybe that might help. I'm not for sure. Let's see. Does that help? So here's this. I don't know if you could see the texture to it, but yeah, there's texture. And so the reason that I recommend this paper is because you could just file it away. When you're done and you let your oil paint dry, you can just file it away. It doesn't take up a lot of space to store. What a lot of people don't think about is storage after they paint. Because let's be honest, when you first start painting, it's not going to be the best of pictures where you want to hang them up on the wall everywhere in your house. At least not for me. Maybe you are like a really great painter and maybe you could do that. But not me, because I've made some like, whoo, you know, but it's called beginner painting for a reason. And when you have no art education and you're learning as you go, you make mistakes. It's just the way it's going to be. So let's look at this, are some of my paintings here. So the first ever oil painting I've ever done was this painting here. And, you know, I was trying to go for like the creepy, gothic type thing, but I wanted to focus on building a ponytail. And so that's what I did in this picture. And let me pull that up a little bit. I don't know, is that a little better maybe? I'm still new to even shooting videos. So this right here is my very first ever oil painting. And I just wanted to create it because I had some oil paints that I got in this little box. Now you don't have to have this little box. I went to the Goodwill and I got this years ago. It's like a little, I believe it's like a kid's art supply thing that came in it years ago maybe, and someone donated it. So I got this box and it was already gray, and all the other paints need painting, so it's not made to be pretty. So what it does is it has a handle on the side so you can carry it where you want to go, and two laths. So what I do in this box is I store my student grade paints. And you're like, well, what's the difference between student grade and professional grade? I will get into that. Now, when I first started off doing oil painting, I had a little paint set by Reeves that I got from Michael's years and years ago, because I always told myself I'm gonna oil paint, and I was just too chicken. I just did not do it. And I really regretted that, because basically I had these forever, and then I was like, then people are saying, well, this paint is horrible. It's crappy paint. Don't get that paint. You're not a painter. You can't paint unless you get these Wintons. So then I ended up buying these Winton student grades, which they're nice. I mean, but these are just as nice. And And what I was dealing with was with paint snobs, okay? And if you know anything about getting into art, you're going to have art snobs. Just like in everyday life, if you work at an office and you have a guy who has his little sports car, his sports car is better than the guy with the Ford Escort. You know how it goes. But anyway, I started off with these Reeves oil paints, and let me tell you, these really shocked me. They were good. I would say they're better than these China-made Wintons. These I don't care for. These are blotchy, and they come out in like I don't know. They just don't blend as well as these two. But the difference between this set and this set here is that you're getting like cadmium colors where you can mix lots of colors and stuff. Whereas here you're getting hues of stuff. So nothing here is going to be like, you know, solid colors. Let's see if you can see the pigments. I don't even think they put the pigments on here. It just says made in China. So yeah. So basically when I first started oil painting, I just did the limited palette of the red, yellow, blue, and titanium white. These are the 4 colors right here. When I started painting, that's what I used on my pictures. So let me show you what those 4 colors can do for you. Okay, are you ready? Now my paintings aren't that great because I'm new, but here, I created all these colors from these 4 colors here. The titanium white, the phthalo blue, lemon yellow, and crimson. Those right there, I've created all the colors that you see here. All the colors on this one. As you can see, you can get some deep colors, and it could be nice. And then skin tone-ish type colors with it. And you can even go more gothic with it if you'd like. So you can create a lot of colors just with those few colors there. And so don't let people tell you like, oh, if you have these that you can't paint. Yes, you can. Just paint. And once you realize when you're painting with it, they don't mix the way you would like. The thing I would do is if you're new and you don't know really what goes together is to buy yourself a color wheel. And they're about anywhere from, you know, $3 to $8 depending on what size you get, because they can come in little ones, big ones. And yeah, so get a color wheel. That's the first thing I would tell you to do once you buy your paints. Get a color wheel so you know how to kind of mix. Also, you may want to get some plastic palette knives, and you can get this anywhere from $3 to $5 depending on what size pack you want to get of them. But really, I only use really this one. So if you can just get this one, or even if you go to like Goodwill, you might be able to get a cake decorator one. Do that. I mean, because they're like 78 cents, I believe, at Goodwill, like utensils. So that's what I would do. So yeah, so I started off with the Reeves, and that's what I did those portraits in that I showed you. Then I moved up to using my Wintons, and I still stuck with the palette. I did the French Ultramarine, I did the yellow, I did the red, I used the white, and then I added in the burnt sienna for skin tones and stuff like that. So that was the other one I added in. So with these 5 colors, you can create a lot of colors out of it. You can do a lot. And if you don't like burnt sienna, you could do burnt umber. It's just it's a preference, whatever you would like to do. And you can't go off of everybody that's on YouTube that's like, oh, you can only do this color or that color. And then you're going to have like 1,000 different colors. So you don't want to do that. So there you go. So when I first got this, I got this, these for like $5 at Michael's. Because I honestly didn't know if I was going to get into oil painting. Because at the time, I believe I started doing acrylic painting classes. They would have them at the library where a person would come in and you could take a couple courses and you could paint like sunflowers or sunsets and things like that. So that's why I got into the acrylic painting, but I was always curious about the oil painting. I was also scared because people are like, oil painting is dangerous and you're gonna die. That it can be dangerous because you're messing with chemicals, and you have to be responsible with how you rid of your materials and stuff like that. You do have to take it to a dump that will accept the materials because they are toxic. But as long as you have a window and a fan and an air purifier, you're fine. Don't squeeze the materials, like don't eat it, don't put it in your mouth. Wash your hands, leave your station. Don't eat where you oil paint. Wash up, go elsewhere and eat your food. Try not to eat where you're painting. I know a lot of people like to grab a sandwich and paint and stuff like that, but if you got paint on your hands, then you're eating, then guess what? You're most likely gonna get a little bit of that paint on that sandwich or whatever. So I would say don't eat when you're painting, eat elsewhere, or like wash up and and treat yourself with respect and sit down and eat your meal and enjoy your meal, not just as you're painting. Because a lot of people don't respect themselves enough to give them the right amount of time to eat meals. Like that is the thing people skip on, or they skip out of the meal, or they rush the meal. The meal really should be enjoyed. That's the way I look at it. But let's get back to oil painting. So these are what I started with. And then I got these for like really, really cheap. I think it was like $13 or $14 for this set here. It was not expensive. And these are the China made ones. So when you see the numbers like that, it's from China. They do have one that's made from, I believe in England, that's went in. It looks totally different than this. It may be of better quality. I haven't tried those, so I don't know. So here's these, and I actually like the Reeves better than those, just so you know. So there's the beginner paints that I've used. And like you see, I have other ones that I can eventually add in, but I'm not using them because I'm teaching myself a limited palette. And the reason that I'm teaching myself the limited palette is because I want to know what colors make what. So I don't have 1,000 tubes of paint. Because I see some artists that have like a dresser full, like 4 or 5 shelves full of paint. I don't want to do that. I just want to use what I'm going to use. I am not a professional. I am not selling my artwork. This is just for me. And when I think when I'm getting better, then I'm going to move up to the artist grade. So right now, this is great for me. And I'm almost out of a lot of the colors on the Reeves. And as you can see, I'm tearing through the colors on the Winton. So yeah, so it's working. And if you're going to buy a big tube of paint, the titanium white is the one that I would recommend getting a little bit larger of a tube, because you go through a lot of white just to do your mixes and like calm some colors down. But yellow can also cool down colors as well. So once you learn how to mix colors, and that's where this color wheel comes in, then you can know like, hey, what you actually need. And you can make a lot of colors just with these few colors. So don't be thinking you have to have one of every color that's at the local art store, because you don't. And so what I like about this little box is that, it's just a little wooden box that claps. I got it at the thing, and I can take my oil paints anywhere I'm going. And it has this little lip so you can put your stuff on. So I have that box. And I saw that for like $4, and I said, oh, I gotta have that. So now that I've been painting for a minute, just for, a few weeks, a couple months, I would say. Well, no, not even a couple months. I would say at least a month I've been oil painting. So I've been enjoying it so much that I advanced to the canvases, or the hardboard canvas, the ones that you can get, the canvas panels that you can get, and you can get all different brands and sizes. So I did advance to that, and I just wanted to see what the difference was painting on the paper or the canvas paper compared to this. And really, they both took the paint well. One is just a just a harder surface. And but you would still have to frame both of them to hang them up. So either way, you're looking at framing for both. And I'm sure you can probably buy something to attach to the back of this to hang it if you didn't want to buy a frame. But I don't know. I've always seen these things framed. So here's a Seascape 2 that I did on a smaller one. And yeah, and you can get all kinds of texture and all kinds of stuff doing that. So that's my oil paintings that I've done. And none of this stuff was very expensive. To get into the oil painting, I think I spent probably less than $25. So yeah, you can get into it for pretty cheap. If you just want to dabble to see if you even like oil painting. Not everybody's gonna like oil painting. That's why I didn't go too expensive with my materials at first when I first bought them. Okay, so let's talk about some brushes. Okay. You're gonna be like, wow, what are you doing with all these brushes, right? Well, these brushes came in a kit. So these Reeves brushes actually came with the Reeves paints that I got. They're not the best brushes, as you can see. They're not the best, but you know, they did the job when I was first learning. So what I would advance up to if I was doing this again, because I don't have a ton of brushes, as you can see. Now I did eventually go pick these brushes up because I wanted to do some fine detail. That's what these are for, this fine detail here. But let's talk about what you really need. What I would start off with is a round brush. You know, get a round brush, this is a 4 and this is a Winton, and it's a Winsor Newton Winton round brush, and it's I believe it's pig hair, I believe. I'm not for sure. But yeah, so a lot of my stuff is Winton because I'm new. I'm not spending a ton of money. And you can get like a set for like $18 on Amazon. And so yeah, so I got a couple different sizes of the round. I got Filbert. I think the Filbert are pretty nice. I really like painting with Filbert, but you may like flat brushes. Because if you do, then buy flat brushes, you know, or buy, you know, one of each until you know what type of painting you want to do. But if you're just getting started, you don't even need this many paintbrushes. So what I would do, I would get a round brush, a flat brush, a Filbert brush. Those would be the ones I would start with. And you have to ask yourself, are you going to be painting huge canvases? Because if you are, you want to get the bigger brushes. If you're going to do smaller canvases, you want to kind of stay more to the medium to small. Okay, so that's how you're going to pick your brushes out. And try not to spend an arm and a leg, because you can spend hundreds of dollars on brushes easily. You know, because some artists will be like, you can only paint with this brush and no other brush because it's the best one on the market. Well, when you're beginning, you're just wondering, am I going to be doing this from a week from now? Am I going to be painting a year from now? You don't know, because being a beginner, you don't even know if you like this medium yet. So that's why I would say pick up some student grade brushes, start off with it, and then if you start to really fall in love with it, figure out which brush you like the best and then upgrade that brush. That's the way you do it, you know, save yourself some money. Now, if you like to do Bob Ross stuff, you probably want to get a fan brush and all that. But I do like, you know, like I said, I like a flat brush, a Filbert brush, and I like the different sizes of them. So I have a small and a larger one because you just never know, like, how much area you want to do. And my number one brush that, you know, if you're going to be painting like the background of like a canvas board like this, you know, like a big old canvas board, you probably want to get like a bigger brush that can do it. Because if you're going to be doing it with a tiny brush, you're going to be there all day, and then you're going to see streaks. So that's what the bigger brushes are for, so you don't see as many streaks or brush strokes. And there's bigger brushes than that you can get. These are just what I'm starting off with. So yeah, so those are the brushes. Like I said, you don't need to have every brush under the sun. You don't even have to have the Winton brand name. You can go get Royal Land Nickel or whatever. What you're looking for is when you buy the brushes, you're looking to make sure they can hold oil paint. Not all brushes do. Some can be watercolor brushes, some can be strict acrylic brushes, and some are multimedia brushes where they can do it all. So that's what you got to look out for brushes. So we talked about paper, we talked about brushes, and some beginner paint. So there you go. That's what you need to get started. Now, if you want, you can buy yourself a medium, and I'm not going to show the brand of this. You can get like a Gamba Saw or a mineral spirit, odorless mineral spirit, and you can have this to thin your paints out to help you. But if you're going to be using this, please have your fan on, open the window, have proper ventilation. If you're in a tiny like little closet, please have some ventilation, because this can do damage. This is a toxin. And also, when you're discarding this stuff, don't just throw the paint stuff in a pile and forget about it, because after a while it can start a fire. I mean, that's why you've got to really pay attention to what you do with the waste. So, and if you want, I can do a video on how you can get rid of your stuff and how to take it to a recycling unit, and they can take and dispose of the product in an appropriate manner. So that's the panels, the paper, beginner paint. So what then, when you start to really like the oil paint? What I found is that I wanted to upgrade a couple of the materials that I had. I wanted to go from the plastic palette knife to the metal. And the reason is, it's just, I didn't have to, I just wanted to. It's just, I don't know. It's just, the paint goes on, it comes off, like I can clean this real easy. It's like, so it's up to you. If you want the plastic or these, it's just a personal choice. I wanted to have one of these, so I purchased that. The next thing, you're gonna need some cloths. These, I'm a foster mom, so I pick up little babies and stuff all the time. So I get these little cloths that they come from the hospital with. Just use your old towels that you're getting rid of, old t-shirts, socks, you know. If you need, use your old underwear. I'm not saying to do that, but I've heard people using their underwear. Just have something to wipe your brushes and your paint knives on, so you don't make a huge mess. Here is a picture frame. Okay, it's just a regular picture frame with a glass thing. So the reason that I have this is if I run out of my palette paper, which is, let me show you where my palette paper is right here. Hold on one second. So here's my palette paper. This is what I squeeze my paint onto. Okay. And the reason that I'm using paper for right now is because I'm a beginner, so I'm learning and I don't want to create a huge mess, and I want it to be easily to clean up. So you just rip off a piece of this paper and you can put it on like a hardboard or just on a surface, you know, a piece of board or a picture frame, whatever. Squeeze your paints on it, do your mixes. When you're done with it for the day and you know you're not going to go back and paint, and you just fold it up and toss it out. That's how easy it is to get rid of the paints if you use the paint palette. Now, if you're going to save your paint, let's say you painted today and you want to come back tomorrow and add some pictures, you can put some plastic wrap, saran wrap on top of your paints. You can stick them in the fridge if you'd like, or just leave them out on your desk. But if you're going to put it in your fridge, please try not to put it near your food. Just keep it separate, keep separate shelves or whatever. I don't put mine in the refrigerator. I do know that some people, if it's going to be a couple weeks before they get back to their painting, may put it into the freezer and freeze it. But you want to make sure that you're not creating a mess in there. It's not going to spill in a sitting level. So, you know, you're going to have to use some common sense. So this is the paper, and it's just basically a shiny side and a matte side. And it's kind of like, almost like wax paper, but without the wax. So that's the paint palette. But now this right here, you can use as a palette as well. And you can squirt your paints on. And then you can, when you're done, once it's dry, you can scrape it off with a scraper. And so this is what a lot of people use, or they get like a big piece of glass and do it. I don't know if they put it in the frames, but I'm keeping mine in the frame because, you know, the glass can be sharp. So it's better safe than sorry. And that's what I do. And what I did to the glass on the other side, I painted it gray. And of course there's a little white in there, but you know, it's basically you do that so you can see the color richness of what you're mixing. So yeah, so I got a little fancy and got me a little knife, only because I'm really enjoying oil painting, and I'm actually going to be doing a lot more painting with it. It's like, it's becoming one of my big hobbies. As you heard me, it's a big hobby. I'm not a professional artist, so I don't get paid. So guess what? It's my hobby. If you're getting paid for your artwork, then it's your job. It's no longer a hobby. Okay, so this was my first paint box that I ever bought. And this was from years ago. And I actually thought I lost this. Okay, and let me see if I can get a better picture of it. And it's just a little paint box. Back in the day, I did a lot of acrylic painting, so I stored my acrylics in here. Now that I found it again, I'm doing more oil painting these days than I am acrylic painting, so I am updating. Now, for the holiday, I have some new paints. So let me go ahead and pull those out. I got this as a Christmas gift. Here we go. And they are the Winsor Newton Artist Oil paints. Here we are. These are the colors. And this is a beautiful, beautiful set. Now, you're going to probably be asking, well, why didn't you buy like the bigger tubes and stuff? Well, it was a gift. So I'm appreciative of what I got. And this also gives me a chance to see the difference between student grade paint and professional grade paint. And as you can see, this is the regular oil paint, not the water mixable paint. Because when you're picking up tubes, you want to make sure you're getting all for oil. And if you're going to do water mixable paints, I don't think you can mix the two. Maybe you can, but I don't think so. Oil and water doesn't really go together. But they have created it with the water mixable somehow. So here we are with this, and you get two cool blues, you get your yellow, you get a yellow ochre, so you get two yellows, and then you get your red, but I believe there is an Indian red, so really two reds, but I'm not for sure if Indian red, if that's going to be more of like a burnt sienna or something like that. I don't know. So I'm new, so I'm going to figure this out here quick. But these are my new paints, and I'm going to be creating a picture with these, or a portrait with these soon. I just want to make sure I think it out because they're expensive paints, and they're not my student grade. Now, once you do your expensive paints, you know, I have other gifts too that I've received. And, you know, you're going to get, you know, other colors. Like this. This is a alizarin permanent. And so when you get gifts, you want to make sure you're very clear about what gifts you want. So I was very careful to make sure I chose alizarin permanent, or you can do permanent alizarin crimson. Those are light fast. If you do alizarin crimson by itself, it's not. And the reason that I wanted to get a light fast color is because I have professional paints now that are light fast. And what light fast is how long your painting is going to last without fading or discoloring. And so yeah, so this box is basically like the other box, it just stores stuff. And you know, I'm going to be putting my artist colors in here, and I'm going to do this. And the good thing about these boxes is that you can go outside, sit at a picnic table and do some plein air painting. And that's what I like about this, is that you can do all sorts of stuff. Let me put this over there. But what I'm going to tell people to do, don't get caught up in you have to have every color under the blue moon, because you don't. I would start off with a single palette primary mixing color. I would do a red, blue, yellow, white, and if you would like sienna or burnt umber, go ahead and add that. That just helps you make skin colors. Once you play around with those colors and then you're starting to get better with mixing, then I would start to do a double primary palette. And what does that mean? That means you have a warm and cool red, a warm and cool blue, a warm and cool yellow, titanium white, and then your burnt sienna, burnt umber, whichever one you want, or just sienna. And then when you start doing that, then you're going to be able to mix just about any color that's in the color wheel. That means you don't have to buy all the blues and purples, pinks, and stuff like that. The only time you want to be purchasing those colors is if you cannot mix it to get to that color, and you don't know the actual ratios of paint to get to it. Then you can, make it a convenience color for you, but you're most likely not going to be mixing that color with anything, so it could be a waste of money. So if you only need it for the one picture, it may not be worth it. That's why having the warm and cool colors, once I advance to that, I will show a video on that. But right now I'm just doing a single color palette of one blue, one red, one yellow, titanium white, and I'm using sienna. And so that's what I'm doing with my paintings. But I'm getting ready to graduate to a double primary palette where I'm going to have a warm and cool blue, warm and cool red, warm and cool yellow, titanium white, and either a burnt umber, sienna. Not for sure yet which one of those I want to have. But that's going to be my next palette that I teach myself on. So it's very important just to start off with just a few colors. Don't buy every color under the rainbow because, it looks cool to have all the paints and stuff, but you don't want to waste your hard-earned money. It takes a lot to earn your hard-earned coin these days, and I would say save your money because you may want to get a box to store your stuff in, or you may want to upgrade to your paper to canvases and stuff like that. And I do have some canvas, so I can show you what canvases look like. So give me 1 second, and so you can get some canvases. And now these are the ones that I use. Now because I use these, do not mean that you have to use these. I like the Fredericks. I don't know why I like them, I just do. And basically what it is a canvas that's stapled to a wood board, and I just like these. So that's what that is. And you can get different brands. So like if you're going to like Michael's or something and you decide, hey, I'm just going to get a couple of these to start off with, do it. And the only difference is basically the way the wood and canvas is stapled. Some staple on the side, some staple in the back. You're going to have to learn to see which one you like. And some are whiter canvases than others. As you can see, there's a little bit thinner than that one. And it's just a matter of what you like. But when you start off, I would say start off with some cheap canvases that you don't mind if you ruin, that set to the side, because you can always wash it out and use the canvas again. There's a way to do that. So you don't have to throw your canvases away. Or if you go to like Goodwill and you see some paintings there and they're like, let's say they're discounted like 2 for $1 or whatever, because sometimes they just want to get rid of their pictures. You can grab those canvases, repaint the top of it, and then you have a new canvas for yourself. Or if you go there, you can start to look at picture frames. So if you are doing art like I was with the painter paper or this board, you can buy a frame and a mat and everything and put your painting right in there from the Dollar Tree or Goodwill or Salvation Army or whatever you got. Or you might go to a relative's house and they might have some picture frames they're not using that have some mats in there. Take them, use them, do whatever you can do to save money, because art is expensive. And unless you're selling your artwork and making money, I say save as much money as you can, because you might want to buy another tube of paint, or you might want to buy a better brush, or you might want to say, hey, I might want to treat myself a trip to Italy and take my paints with me, and just think about that. This is Junie. I just wanted to come back and just say, You don't have to follow all the trends that you see, and you're going to see that there's going to be different reds and different blues on everybody's palette. Just start with a red, a blue, a yellow, titanium white, and like a burnt sienna umber, you know, whatever you want for your skin tones, and go with that and see how far you can go. Once you master that and you're getting bored and you're ready to take the next step, then buy the, you know, the opposite color. So if you got a cool blue, buy a warm blue. If you have a warm red, buy a cool red, you know, and just, you know, do a double palette that way. That's the best way I can tell you to save money and not really get into everybody's thing, because everybody's palette's going to be different. Now, if there's an artist that you really like, maybe they might have their palette up and you could see what they use, and then you can buy those paints. But if you're just new and you really don't know what you're doing, I would just say, just get some basic paints and then move on from there. Because you will learn very quickly once you start mixing your own colors, what mixes and what don't, and what looks good and what doesn't look good. And you're going to learn very quickly of how to make a pink and a purple and an orange and you know, whatever. You can mix your primary to secondary, and then you can have a tertiary color. So there's always doing this. If you could, please like and subscribe to my channel. This is Junie. I hope this helps somebody. I hope you don't go into too much debt doing this. Please know that you can just start off with just a basic little set, see if you like it, then move up. And that's all I'm trying to do, is just encourage art and encourage people not to be afraid to use their art materials. Because that's another thing too, is because now that I've got some professional grade art materials like paint, you know, I'm a little bit more hesitant to use that over my student grade. Student grade, I'll get in there and just do whatever. And because it's a lot cheaper. Now that I have some artist grade paints, now I'm going to start to focus a little more, and I'm going to do the mixtures. I'm going to pay attention to how I do those mixtures. Like if I do 2-to-1 or 1-to-1 or 3-to-1, I'm going to see how those pictures, and kind of keep track of how I made that. And then another thing you could do is get a notebook and say, hey, I took this color 1-to-1 and this is the color I got. And you could put that in your notebook. And you could do 2-to-1, 3-to-1, or 3-to-2, or whatever. And then you could put that color in your notebook. So when you're painting again, you could be like, oh, I used these basic colors and this is how I got the purple. That way you can remember. Because if you don't write it down or do some kind of notebook for yourself, you're going to forget. So that's it. This is Junie. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you soon. Get into some art shenanigans, and see you later.